So this is the review of the solutions for the paper I set you this week. This week's paper is paper 2 of the one we did last week, so it's the calculator allowed version. So as you can see, it was done just a couple of days later, and that's how the GCSEs go. You do one exam on the Tuesday normally, and then the next one on the Thursday, and then that's your GCSE done, sorted. Okay, so formula list, not a question. Right, so first question. In April 2017, Matthew bought a second-hand car. Exactly 1 year later, in April 2018, he sold the car. You got the car, the mileage was this. When he sold it, the mileage was this. How many miles did he do in a year? It's just a simple subtraction question. They've written it side to side like this. I would expect you to write it one above the other so you can do some workings if this was a non-calculator paper, but this is a calculator paper, so you can just type it into your calculator and press equals. It's that easy. April 2018, he bought a new car. He thinks he will drive about the same number of miles each year as he did in the old car. Use your answer part A to estimate. So estimate means we're going to round to a nice easy number. So what's a nice easy number near 8,907? It's 9,000. So we're going to use 9,000 for our estimate. It's travel in 3 years, so 9,000 times 3, 27,000 miles. Okay, if you just got rid of the 7 and did 8,900, it would also accept that, but this is the better and easier way to do it. Question 2. So the Celtic Trail is part of the UK National Cycle Network. Arfon plans to cycle the Celtic Trail from Fishguard to Chepstow. So you can see over here, he's got all this route to go. And we've got the distance. And we want to know the total he plans to cycle. Just grab your calculator, add them up. And that's that one, nice and straightforward. Arfon plans to take 3 days. He cannot cycle 385 miles in 1 day. Complete the table to show how he could plan his route. So let's have a look. So we've got on this map, in the first day, you can go 2 stages, but no further. So that's what we should do. So 2 stages gets you to Loughain and 82 miles. And then if you have a look at the next one, so we can go again 2 stages. If we try adding on the third one, it doesn't work. So another 2 stages gets us to Mumbles, 61 miles, and then Mumbles to Chepstow adds up to 84 miles. So that's the only way you can do it. He plans to cycle a total of 425 miles from Fishguard to London. He uses Arfon's plan for the first 3 days. He cycles a cycle race. He also cannot cycle more than 85 miles in 1 day. Explain why Bryn cannot complete his cycle ride from Fishguard to London in 5 days. So just divide 425 by 5, and that is exactly 85. But when you have a look at the plan, we're not going exactly 85 miles. I mean, 1 day we're going 61 miles, which means that those extra last 2 days, you've got too many miles left over to stick to that limit. So any sort of explanation like that. Another way you could have done it was, let's take these off 425, and then whatever's left, divide that by 2 and show that that's bigger than 85. Okay, conversion chart for oven temperatures. So he's making a cake using a gas oven, 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So we're going to have a look at the gas mark. So 350 degrees Fahrenheit is equivalent to gas mark 4. Just read it off the chart. Fionn has got, it says gas mark 3. She converts it to 140. What sort of oven has she got? So gas mark 3, 140 is a fan oven. And Zoe's cake needs 25 minutes to cook. Fionn's cake needs an hour and a half to cook. How many minutes longer does it take? So you got to know that an hour and a half is 90 minutes, and then just do 90 take away 25. Stick in your calculator, get the answer 65. Okay, so The diagram shows a scale drawing of a pitch used to play rounders. The scale is 1 centimeter to 2 meters. Use the scale drawing above to measure the length of the line from the start to the first base. So get your ruler, measure this line, and it's 5.8 centimeters. Plus or minus 2 millimeters means you could be as high as 6 or as low as 5.6. Part B, calculate the actual distance from the start of the first base in meters. Well, 1 centimeter to 2 meters multiplied by 2, change the units to meters, 11.6. And again, this plus or minus 0.4 is just because if you started with something slightly different and just doubled that, then that would get you those marks. Part C, the caretaker of a sports ground uses scale drawing to plan how to mark out the lines of a rounder's pitch. The start of the first 3 bases are the 4 corners of a square. The caretaker marks out the lines from the start of first base, then the second base, third base, finally the fourth base. What's the actual area of the lines he marks? Okay, a lot of information there, so let's have a look. So this is 3 corners of a square, so 5.8, 5.8, 5.8. Okay, and then we can measure the last one, and we get that it is 4 centimeters. Add them up, and then multiply it by 2, and you're going to get 42.8. And there's a tolerance again of 1.6 meters, which means you could be as low as 41.2 or as high as 44.4. So there's a bit of a tolerance there. Right, then this is the question where you've got to sort of organize your work properly, show workings, that sort of thing, and a few words to say what you're doing. Don't have to write an essay, but just a few words to say what you're doing, make it clear to everyone. So we've got 3 different sorts of love spoons, and we've got the sales in the table. Some 225 to make the love spoons. What's the profit? So 14 times this, and that'll tell you the total sales from the small love spoons. 9 times this gets you the sales from the medium love spoons, and 5 times this gets you the sales for the large ones. Add all that up, and you get £470 and 5 pence. And then subtract the 225, and you're going to get the profit of £245 and 5 pence. And just a few words here and there. Just say that that's the profit, and show units, show workings, all these different things just to get these OCW marks, because this question, how many marks was this question worth? 7 marks, and when you think about it, adding all this up and taking away 225 is very easy for 7 marks, so you've got to make sure you explain it properly and show your workings. Okay, number 6. Department store, employee, trainee, and qualified sales staff. So we've got trainee staff work less than 19 hours, qualified staff work 19 hours or more, and then we've got a formula to work out the wage. So it's basically saying £7.75 an hour. And trainee that worked 18 hours, you're just going to do 18 times £7.75 to get his wages. Qualified person, £10.60 minus deductions. Okay, so I'm not sure what these deductions are, but whatever they are, we've got the information here that we've got 23 hours and deductions of £21.39. So you're going to do 23 times £10.60, take away 21.39, and you're going to get the wages for the week. How much more did Ryan get than Joe? Subtract the numbers, you're going to get the answer, £82.91. Then part B, Ashton is a member of staff who works the same hours every week. Use information to decide if he is trainee or qualified. So if we add this up, you're going to get 5 hours, 5 hours, 4.5, 5.5. Add all that up, that's 20 hours. So since trainees work less than 19 hours, he's got to be a qualified worker. Lane is a manager who is paid £1,760 every month. She invests 8% of her monthly wage into a pension fund. How much does she invest? So you could do 8. You could use the percentage button on your calculator times 1760. You could do 8 over 100 because that's the same as fraction, or you could do 0.08 because that is the same as a fraction. But multiplied by 1,760, you're going to get £140.80, and that is the amount she puts into a pension fund. You're not going to do, because you've got a calculator, you're not going to work out 10% and 1% and then times by 8. You're not going to do it in lots of little steps like that. You can do it in one go. But whether you use percentage, fraction, or a decimal is up to you. Okay, then we've got a survey. 720 students are asked if they prefer to take part in gym activities, team sports, or individual sports. We've got the results here. And how many people selected individual sports? So you can see that as 1/4. So 1/4 of 720 is 180. And then Carwin plans to split team sports and pie chart into football and other team sports. Of the students selected team sports, 2/5 said they preferred football. So what angle should that have? So at the moment, if we have a look, this is 90 degrees here. So there's 270 degrees shared between each of these. Okay, so look at them, they're the same size. So 270 divided by 2, this is 135 degrees. Or you could measure it with a protractor. It doesn't say anywhere that it's not to scale. And then you want to do 2/5 of 135 degrees. So 2/5 of 135 degrees. So what we do with our calculator is divide by 5 and times by 2. You can do the same thing, or you can use the fraction button to just do 2/5 times 135. Either way, you're going to get 54 degrees. 720 students took part in the survey. Only 45% were female. How many males took part? So males is 55% because that's what's left from 100. And then 55% of 720. So again, they've shown percentage button, fraction button. You could use percentage, fraction, or decimal button, but 0.55 times 720, you're going to get 396. Okay, this price has received a total bill for water. It's based on estimates of how much fresh water is used and how much wastewater is produced. Her bill's £58.80. Her actual use of water is as follows. And we've got some information there. And then we've got some costs. And then we want to work out if she's been overcharged or undercharged. Because a lot of these bills work on estimates. And then somebody every so often will come around to your house and actually measure the correct number. And then you either settle up the difference or they settle up the difference. And everything's even for the whole year. That's why it's important to give good estimates when you're doing this sort of thing, because if you give a bad estimate, then somebody's out of a lot of money at the end of the year when it comes to make it all right again. So fresh water, 25.25 times this number means £27.27 for fresh water used. Wastewater, so 22.31 times £1.70. Multiply these. So pounds and pence, round to nearest penny. Add them together, that's what a bill should be. And then take off £58.80. She's been undercharged. You've got to say whether she's been undercharged or overcharged. So it's undercharged by £6.40. If we look at this question here, this question is pretty similar to the previous question on Love Spoons. Except the Love Spoons one, I think, was easier and worth 7 marks. And I think this water one is a bit harder and only worth 4 marks. So it just goes to show how important it is with those OCW questions to put down some workings and writings, because compared to other things in the paper, they are easy marks, which you should be getting. Okay, 7 marks there is easier to get than these 4 marks here. Okay, so we've got Emrys, Layla, and Reese go shopping for fruit, and then we've got what everybody buys. And we've got to figure out how much change will Reese receive from £5 when paying for 5 apples and 2 pears. So we have got to figure out how much everything costs here, because we don't have what his bill is. Layla, all she buys is apples, 3 of them 78 pence. So that means they're 26 pence each, divided by 3. So that apple there is 26 pence. If you take that off his bill, then he's left with 96 pence for 3 pears. And 96 pence for 3 pears means each pear is 32 pence. So now we know the cost of a pear and an apple. You can do 5 times the cost of a pear, add 2 times the cost of an apple, and you're going to get £2.12 is his bill. Subtract it from the £5 he pays with, he's going to get £2.88. 6 marks there. There's lots of places it could go wrong, so even though it's not an OCW question, it's important to show some workings there, because you go wrong at some point and show loads of workings, you might get 5 marks. If you go wrong and don't show much workings, you might get nothing at all. It's a big difference. Okay, so Karis has to write a report on water levels of the River Tad. She's recorded the depth between 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. and we've got the graph. And what we're going to do is the greatest depth. So the greatest depth is up here. Now, you can see that there's 10 little squares and it goes up 10. So it's nice and straightforward. Each little square is 1. So you can see it goes up to exactly 48. We can see that exactly. And it's asking, which 15-minute period was the depth of water increasing most rapidly? So we've got 3 options: 1:15 to 1:30, 4:15 to 4:30, 5 p.m. till 5:15. So 1:15 to 1:30. It's a pretty steep line, and you could actually count how much it goes up by. Then 4:15 to 4:30, it's not going up as much. And then what was the last one? 5 to 5:15. 5 to 5:15, it's a tiny increase there, isn't it? So you could actually look at the numbers, or you could just look at which line is steeper. And this line is steeper, and so therefore this is the correct answer. Okay. Let's look at the graph for 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Describe what it tells us about water. So 6 p.m. till 7 p.m. 6 till 7, well, the water level is decreasing. That's what I'd be saying. Depth of water is decreasing. Water level drops, anything like that. And it says here that in the mark scheme, it's not going to accept if you just say something completely vague like it goes down, because it's not clear that you understand that the water is going down. What you would possibly be meaning is the graph goes down, which is true, but not what the question's asking about. So we've got to say the depth of the water goes down. The water level drops. For what period of time is the water level greater than 45? So let's look back at the graph. So there's 45. So all between here it's greater, and it's between 4:40 till 5:40, so 1 hour. Okay, so 10 squares is 1 hour, and you can count across, it's exactly 10 squares. Okay, so 1 hour. Right, question 11. Mina is going on holiday. She hasn't decided where to go yet. In a travel brochure, she sees a pictogram with all these destinations. So 9,700 people is this entire graph. So how many suitcases have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 and a quarter. So if you take your calculator and you do 9,700 divided by 24 and a quarter, you You could write it as a quarter or 0.25. You get exactly 400. And so each suitcase represents 400 people. She goes on holiday with 5,900 euros. She spends 40%. When she returns, she exchanges them for pounds. How many pounds do you receive? So she spends 40%. She's got 60% left. So 60% of 590. See this repeated theme. Percentages very important. They're coming up a lot in this paper. So you could do as a fraction, you could do as a percentage, you could do as a decimal. So you could do 60% times 590, 60 over 100 times 590, or 0.60 times 590. Whichever way you do it, she's got 354 euros left. Right, then we've got the exchange rate. We've got £1 to 1.18 euros. Now, what's difficult here is knowing whether to times or divide by the exchange rate. So what we've got to do is just think logically. If you've got more euros here than pounds, then our answer should be more euros than pounds. So euros to pounds. If we times by 1.18, we'd end up with more pounds, and we know that's wrong. So we've got to divide by 1.18 to get £300 exactly. Okay, Grace sees a newspaper advert for Blake's mopeds. And we've got a bunch of information on the advert. She is planning to save for this offer. She also wants to save enough money for the first month's fuel. The moped travels 20 miles each litre of fuel. A litre of fuel costs £1.26. It's a little bit cheaper now, isn't it? Grace estimates she'll travel 350 miles each month on a moped. Starting this month, Grace will be able to save £60 per month. After how many complete months will she have saved enough money? So we're going to include the offer and the first month's fuel. So if we look at the deal, we have got £400. Okay, so 15% off a helmet, and we've got to get insurance and vehicle tax. So if we take 15% off £80, that means we're looking for 85% of it. Remember, we did these percentages. So 85%. So again, they're doing the fraction. You could do 85% times or 0.85 times. It works out the same. Moped, helmet, insurance, tax, and then fuel. So if it's 20 miles per litre, how many litres will she need? 350 divided by 20 will tell us how many litres she needs, and times £1.26 will tell us how much it'll cost. So that costs £22.05. Add those together, that's going to be a total cost. And then divide by 60, because she can save £60 per month. And it's 11 point something, which means she's going to have to wait 12 months, an entire year, before she's got enough money for this. Yeah, the question's pretty tricky then, but if you sort of look over it in your own sort of time and just think about where all the numbers come from. And I think this paper was all right. I think that a lot of it was just real world understandable things. When people start talking about things which have no connection to real life, then it's difficult to understand what to do. But a lot of this stuff, if you know your basics, your fractions, your decimals, your percentages, how they work, you've got a calculator, I think that you can do pretty well in this paper. Okay, so if there's anything you still want to know, ask me, but otherwise that's it for